sometimes these organizations take a little bit longer, or especially markets, I've heard of them, they take a little bit longer to transfer your money from your bank to a third party. And one of the reasons why this happens, as far as I know in my research, is because of the increase of identity theft. They are taking measures and they are a little bit more cautious about where they send the money. So when you do a wire transfer or you transfer your money from your high yield savings to an external organization, what these companies do is they try to take a little longer to make sure that you also own the receiving account of the transfer. So that way you are not just blindly, or your money it's not just being sent out blindly into the abyss. If you are interested in LI, SoFi, and Marcus for your high yield savings account, you come to the right place. I am someone that has banked and is banking with these organizations. I will give you my honest take and my honest review. And if you appreciate the research and also my insight and experience, please give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. My name is Alex Isidro, and we go over personal finance, entrepreneurship, and mindset content. Here to help you live your best life, build wealth, get out of debt, save money, and achieve all your dreams, because it all starts here, in my humble opinion and in my experience. Okay, now with that being said, if you are someone that is now new to high yield savings accounts, or maybe you just heard about them for the first time in your life. Now, I want to give you a little short background here on whether or not a high yield savings account is a good idea for your specific situation. Now, having used high yield savings accounts over the last couple of years, I see a couple of benefits. And the biggest ones are, of course, the elephant in the room is saving with high interest rate. So that way you can allow your money to make more money. There are many organizations, brick and mortar stores like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, where you are getting 0.2%, 0.3% APY, and that really does nothing. But it's almost like an insult that they offer in these very low rates. And so a high yield savings account allows your money to make more money because of the high competitive interest rates nowadays. Also, of course, it's the flexible access. And when you put your money in the market, when you put it in a certificate of deposit, it's not as easy as just transfer your money right away from a high yield savings account. So that's one of the best features that I personally like. In case of an emergency, you need your money right away. Now, the third benefit that I see from a high yield savings account is inflation protection. Inflation nowadays has been reported around 3%. And these high yield savings accounts are paying 4.5%, 5%, 5.5% in some cases. Not only are you keeping up with inflation, but you're also outrunning inflation. So your money is actually growing and not just maintaining its value. Now, the last couple of benefits that I see from a high yield savings account is you can use it for an emergency fund, for security. So that way you don't put your money under your mattress. Maybe your parents did that. I know my parents and my grandma used to do that all the time. She used to keep her money in this little handkerchief. I think that's how you say it in English. Handkerchief. And she'll put her money there, and that was it, right? So if you want a little bit more security and a little bit more of a insurance on your money in case something happens, then a high yield savings account with a reputable organization will get you there. And last but not least, of course, if you are saving for a purchase for a car, certainly my wife and I just got our first family car. We got this awesome, I love this car. It is a 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander. It's a whole story behind this car. So I may make a video about this. Let me know in the comments if you're also in the market for a car, or maybe you are using your high yield savings account to buy a car or maybe a vacation. Let me know in the comments what you're working towards for your savings goals. Okay, so now having said all of this and giving you a little bit more background, so now we are all on the same page. Let's look into the general feature comparison between these three organizations. As of March 2024, the interest for LI is 4.35, SoFi is 4.6%, and Marcus is 4.5%. Now, as I go into this video, one thing to understand is that the interest rates will vary depending on what the Federal Reserve is doing with the interest rates themselves. But the majority of the features will remain in place. I'm going to go into those here in a second. Now, there's a little star that you may notice here next to SoFi. And if you are the first time watching these videos, what that means is SoFi requires you to have direct deposit with your account in order to qualify and get that 4.6%. That's just something to keep in mind and something to make sure that you comply with, so that way later on, you're not calling SoFi saying, hey, you are not giving me the interest rate that you advertised. Well, did you set up direct deposit? So there's just some general background on the interest rate for these three organizations. As we can see, SoFi comes ahead here in this realm. Now, when it comes to opening account bonus, if you're someone that is looking for that motivation, we're looking, hey, I want to bank with you, but what are you offering me? So LI, for this moment, they don't have a bonus available. Now, it doesn't mean that they didn't offer in the past. It doesn't mean that they won't in the future. But right now, as of this moment, they don't offer it to the public and on the website. Now, sometimes what these banks do is they email their customers, a select few customers, and they offer them bonuses for referrals. So in that case, then it's kind of like a closed loop type of thing. But right now, they don't have one available to everybody. Now, when it comes to SoFi, SoFi does offer a bonus of up to $325. Now, you get $50 with a direct deposit between $1,000 and $5,000, and you get this should be here, $300 with $5,000 direct deposit. Now, in the grand scheme of things, you get up to $325 because you would get an extra $25 if you sign up with a link in the description. Now, that's with respect to SoFi. Now, when it comes to Marcus by Goldman Sachs, they offer an extra 1% APY to whatever the market is. So right now, the market is offering obviously like 4.5%. So right now, as of this moment, you will get a 5.5% APY with Marcus for 3 months. Now, one way that you could extend this offer is by then once you sign up with Marcus by Goldman Sachs, that you can refer other people. And what they do is they give you up to 5 referrals per calendar year. So you could technically get a 1% APY additional for up to 15 months. So that's just a little bit of an insight that you can take advantage of if you decide to go with Marcus. Now, I just want you to make the best decision for yourself, for the organization that you resonate with the most and the one that's going to benefit you the most. Now, when it comes to FDIC insurance, when it comes to Ally, they're insured up to the regular standard $250,000, just like Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Now, SoFi does this a little bit differently, and they do insure you up to $2 million using a network of FDIC insured banks as well. But if we're being honest, most people will not be benefiting from an insurance of up to $2 million. But hey, if you are there and you got a couple million to put in SoFi, then good for you. Let's celebrate, my friend. That's awesome. Now, when it comes to the minimum deposit, both of these organizations do not have minimum deposits. They don't have maintenance fees. And honestly, that's one of the best features nowadays. And it should be the standard. Like all organizations, regardless of where you are, where you're from, they should just be minimum deposit, maintenance fees. And that's just my personal opinion, of course. Now, when it comes to SoFi, by the way, last thing I want to mention is that you do need to select direct deposit to get the high APY, at which point your minimum deposit becomes whatever your direct deposit is. It could be like $5, $100. There's no minimum on a direct deposit that you set up with SoFi. Okay, so now moving on, let's talk about account access. And if you're wondering, okay, so how do I make sure that I have access to my account? How can I see what's going on? So when it comes to this feature, LI offers the very much standard online access to your desktop, mobile, and SoFi and LI do offer ATM access through a checking account. Now, one thing that happens when you open an account with SoFi, they do automatically sign you up with a checking account, which you can then access their ATM network. That's something that Marcus by Goldman Sachs lacks. And if you're looking for an organization that has ATM features, then Marcus is not going to offer you that. Now, when it comes to making deposits, LI and SoFi are very similar. We're talking about bank transfers, direct deposit, wire transfers. You can also mail checks. And also, if you are someone that, again, uses the ATM checking account, you can make deposits through the ATM. Marcus is a little bit different. They allow you to do the regular bank transfer, direct deposit, wire transfer, and they also allow you to mail checks. They do not have ATM access. You cannot make deposits through ATMs. And also, one thing that they don't do, which I don't like, honestly, is that they don't allow you to do e-check or mobile deposits. Personally, I think it's one of the best features our bank can offer because I use it. You get a check in the mail and then boom, you take a picture of it and then boom, it just goes into your account. But with Marcus, I have to take it to my third-party bank, my credit union, and then send it to Marcus, which, I mean, it is what it is. I don't like that they don't have that feature, but at the same time, it's not a deal breaker in my eyes. Okay, so now when it comes to making withdrawals, how long do these organizations take? The numbers are fairly conservative in my personal experience. So we're talking about 1 to 3 business days to another institution for Ally, 2 to 3 business days for SoFi, and this is one of the differentiators that Marcus by Goldman Sachs has, and that is a same-day transfer for $100K or less to or from another institution. Now, one thing that I'm going to mention here is when I transfer money from SoFi, I have an account with them. I used to have an account with Ally, but right now I have a SoFi and Marcus account. And when I transfer from SoFi to Marcus, it only takes a couple of hours. It takes like 4 or 5 hours to make that transfer. It's not immediate like Venmo or even Zelle takes some time. Let's just keep that in mind and keep that in perspective. So if you are interested in an all-in-one organization, and by all-in-one, I mean, hey, are you interested in having checking, savings? You could do that with Ally and SoFi. They also do investment services that you can take advantage of. When it comes to Marcus, they don't have checking. They have other services other than savings, but mainly the way I see Marcus is just raw savings account that you can take advantage of. Now, let's talk about the X factors and what are people saying and what are the brand impacts. When it comes to Ally, well-established brand, was established originally in 2009 as Ally itself, but then it's associated with Ally Financial, which was originally known as GMAC, and it was founded in 1919. So a while, they've been around a while, at least the organization. Now, when it comes to SoFi, it was originally founded in 2011 by 4 bros out of Stanford, a couple of students, business students, and they started with offering grants, loans, and of course now they have a whole variety of products. Now, when it comes to Marcus, I want to say here, this is the old dog in this 3 organization race. We're looking at a well-established brand. Marcus itself was established back in 2016, and of course, it's associated with Goldman Sachs, which was originally founded in 1869. So a long time ago. I don't know what was going on in 1869, but was that the Civil War? I need to learn. I need to know my history. Now, one thing that I want to say here is there's been a lot of questions when it comes to Marcus, because lately they've been in the news. They were running into some financial problems. And the way I personally see this is when it comes to the savings account, they are FDIC insured. So if something were to happen to Marcus and Goldman Sachs decides to just cut it and get rid of it, obviously they are insured, so I will get my money back. I don't have more than $250,000 in my high yield savings accounts, nor I plan to do so. So I would just get my money back and then just at that point look for another bank. So that's just to address some questions that I've been getting here on the channel when it comes to Marcus and what I think about that. Now, another thing that happens here, and this may be something that you've experienced or that you will experience in the future, is sometimes these organizations take a little bit longer, well, especially Marcus, I've heard of them. They take a little bit longer to transfer your money from your bank to a third party. And one of the reasons why this happens, as far as I know in my research, is because of the increase of identity theft. They are taking measures and they are a little bit more cautious about where they send the money. So when you do a wire transfer or you transfer your money from your high yield savings to an external organization, what these companies do is they try to take a little longer to make sure that you also own the receiving account of the transfer. So that way you are not just blindly, or your money it's not just being sent out blindly into the abyss. So I think it's a safety feature that is good to have, but I do understand that it can be frustrating if you are needing your money right away and these companies are just taking forever, So one of the things that I would do is before you make the transfer, especially if you don't own the receiving end of the transfer, one of the things that I would do is I would call customer service and let them know, hey, please do not block my account or whatever. Like, I do own these 2 bank accounts. I'm making a purchase. I'm buying a car or whatever it is. So that way, these organizations don't take 5-6 business days extra to make sure that you own both. So that's something that I would do. Let me know if it works. Now, another thing that we need to take into account here is the number of allowed withdrawals per month. Ally recently changed its mind. It used to be 6 per month. Now it's 10. Good for them. SoFi has unlimited, and Marcus also unlimited. All of these organizations offer customer service. And when it comes to client reviews, of course, the client reviews here are going to vary. The one with the highest one comes out, Ally and Marcus are around 3.3 out of 5. That's about a 66%. And SoFi comes a little bit behind at 2.7. That's a 54% customer satisfaction. Now, one thing that once you go into these reviews and you read enough of them, you're going to realize that the bar is not that high. The one that I've seen with the highest score, I think it was American Express, which not surprisingly, right? Like, I mean, in my eyes, that's the one that has one of the best reputations. But of course, that's just me. Now, which online high yield savings account is for you? Well, let's look at the summary per se. And we're looking at LI, we're looking at a competitive APY of 4.35%. Right now, they have no bonus, no minimum deposit, no monthly fees. I personally didn't have any problems with LI when I used it a little while ago. Also, they do have FDIC insurance of the $250K. And SoFi, they do require you to have a direct deposit to get the 4.6 APY, which if we keep this in mind, it's the highest one of these all. Also, they do have the up to $325 with $5,000 direct deposit. Also, no minimum deposit and monthly fees. They are federally insured, FDIC insured up to $2 million. And personally, I haven't had any problems with them. It's almost like SoFi, it's good for the day-to-day. And if you want to have everything in one place, then for the convenience, SoFi may be a good option if that's what you're looking for, SoFi or LI. I like SoFi a little bit more because of the bonus of the $325. But that's just me. Now, when it comes to Marcus, we have the competitive APY of 4.5%. We get the bonus of 1% for 3 months. You also have no minimum deposit, no monthly fees, the regular Fed FDIC insurance, same-day transfer for $100K or less, no checking account, however, and personally, I haven't had any problems with them. So which would I use? Right? So I'm going to give you here my personal take. So Marcus, if what I'm looking for which is what I was looking for at the time, a couple of years ago, it's like basic, no bells and whistles, just good competitive interest, 4.5%. I started with Marcus when they were offering, I think 1.1%, very low back in I think it was 2021, 2022 timeframe. Now, also they do offer the 1% plus APY, branding, the same day transfer. And when I talk about branding, I'm talking about the warm and fuzzy feeling that you get with an organization. It just sounds kind of cool to say that you bank with Goldman Sachs. When it comes to SoFi, I would choose SoFi if I'm looking for a high competitive APY of 4.6%. Also, at that point, I wouldn't mind setting up the direct deposit, especially if I'm looking for a $325 bonus. Also, if I'm looking for investment options, I'm looking for ATM access. Now, I do have SoFi, as I mentioned, and it's fairly easy to make investments. I've seen how you do it. I haven't made any investments through SoFi, but I can see how easy it is to make those purchases of stocks, ETFs, or whatever you're into. Now, LI, which is not a bad option. Again, I used to use it in the past. They also do have a competitive APY of 4.35%. Among these three, though, it comes a little bit behind when it comes to the interest. But I understand that, and I've said this multiple times here on the channel, it's not all about the APY. They also do offer investment services. They have ATM access. And one thing that I've noticed is that LI seems to have a little bit more of a loyal following, which increases the social proof per se that LI, there's some people that use LI, they just love LI. And it's very versatile. They have their own reasons. So this is kind of the way I would approach choosing between these three. So let me know which one is for you here in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you are interested in opening an account with any of these organizations, check the list in the description. And with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.